Sure.
Okay. We're going to call the meeting to order. You would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Osborne,
Here.
Euler,
Here.
Jones. Here. Bentley, not present. Kushner.
Here.
Approval of city council minutes.
Move to approve.
Osborne,
Yes.
Jones. Yes. Euler,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
City council joint work session minutes from January 29th.
Move to approve. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones. Yes. Kushner.
Yes.
Adoption of agenda.
Move to approve.
With
No,
amendment
with amendment.
of number 13.2
Two.
or 1,
Two.
2. With the removal of 13.2.
Thank you.
And who moves that? With the removal? Is that Jones or Osborne?
Well, she corrected me, so it's to be hers.
Okay. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones. Yes. Kushner.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, proclamations. Is anyone here? We have a proclamation for Black History Month for February 2024.
Nobody's here.
No, I'll go ahead and read it. Black History Month, February 2024. Whereas the city of Warrensburg takes pride in recognizing February 2024 as Black History Month, honoring the many notable contributions that people of African descent have made to our country. And whereas we celebrate this year's Black History Month, the theme of African Americans and the arts, shining a light on visual and performing arts, literature, fashion, folklore, language, film, music, architecture, culinary, and other forms of cultural expression in which the African American influence has been paramount. And whereas African American artists have used art to preserve history and community memory, as well as for empowerment. And whereas today and every day, we celebrate African Americans and the arts and encourage all people to recognize and confront systemic racism in our neighborhoods and the wider community by standing in the gap at every opportunity, bridging barriers with fearlessness and determination to fight against racism and bigotry and improve representation of Black people, not only in the arts, but all facets of our society. Now, therefore, I, Bruce Euler, Chairman Pro Tem, along with the City Council of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri, do hereby proclaim February 1st through February 29th, 2024 as Black History Month and call upon the people of Warrensburg to observe this month with appropriate programs, activities, and reflections, and to continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, equitable, and prosperous for all. In witness whereof, I am to set my hand this 12th day of February, 2024, Bruce Euler. Presentation of employee recognition awards. Enrico Villegas.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm very excited about this item in particular. While my presentations are most notably around investing in physical infrastructure, for this one, it's about the investments that the city has made in our human infrastructure, in particular our employees, who are our most valuable assets. And so, unfortunately, due to weather and other circumstances, we weren't able to have this item several meetings ago. But thankfully, Ms. Mesker with APWA is here to present Josh Davis and Larry Dean Wright with certifications and awards for their leadership training. So with that, I'll turn that over to her.
What does APWA stand for?
American Public Works Association.
Thank you.
As he said, my name is Dina Mesker. I'm one of the co-directors of what we call the Public Works Institute, which is sponsored by the Kansas City Metro chapter of American Public Works Association, APWA. And this program, Public Works Institute, was developed by a national committee. It's available for any chapter across the United States. We're one of only 18 that has taken the challenge to develop this program. Its purpose is to provide training to public works employees who are first line supervisors or who are hoping to become supervisors. It's a very broad program that covers basic supervision, managerial skills, communication, time management, finance, on up to leadership, visioning, planning type of skills. We do it in 2 modules a year, and it takes 4 modules to graduate. So it's an investment of about 90 classroom hours. So it's a big deal. There's less than 3,000 people in the entire United States who have completed this program. And our organization alone has 30,000 members. So that's just a reflection of how kind of elite this is. And you should be very proud of the fact that you have some employees that have finished it. And I hope you continue to support the program and send others. So with that, unfortunately, Josh did not come tonight, but we do have Dean Wright. So Dean, you want to come up? First of all, that your certificate of completion, you'll see your certificate number 2627. 627th person to go through the program. And it is, I will say this, our chapter focuses on our operations personnel, because so often they don't have access to these kind of training programs. And it's very important, it's maybe more important for them to have that supervision and leadership opportunity to go through some kind of formal training. So I know it's hard for them. They're usually out working, driving around, working in the field, and when we make them sit for 3 days in the classroom. So that's part of the test, if you can survive that. But Dean did, and Josh did also. And this is also an award for you. So you can put it on your desk or at home or whatever. So good job, and hope you continue to send some more folks our way. We love to have it. Our next session is April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So
Congratulations.
come on, dude.
Want to get you guys a council in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your efforts, Mr. Wright.
Thanks, Dean.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dina. Next, we have Bergfest Visitor Analysis and Downtown Champion Presentation, presented by Jamie DeBacker, the new Executive Director of Warrensburg Main Street.
Hello, good evening, council members, Mr. Mayor. I'm just here. We were able to work with our state organization, Missouri Main Street Connection, to do some geofencing data for Bergfest. We all have known how Bergfest been around for 10 years, and this year we were able to bring a carnival. We didn't know that the community really wanted that carnival until we kind of got these numbers. Our staff and our board Truly believe that maybe we had around, 12 to 15,000 people. But that's obviously a number by assumption. So we were able to work with a organization, Colbat Community Research, and they were able to basically outline a perimeter of our festival for Bergfest. And we compared it to a regular weekend. I'm happy to say that we were able to have 25,000 people come in downtown Warrensburg over that weekend, which is a great economic impact, not only for our community, but we were able to track a lot of data on age ranges and where they came in before and after. We were able to kind of look and use this data now to see where we're maybe missing some market area. So we do have this coming to Bergfest of 2024 this year. We are excited to bring back the carnival. It will be on October 11th and 12th this year. But I'm very excited to have this data and to be able to share with you guys that weekend. We were able to have basically our population in our downtown area for that Friday and Saturday. A normal weekend has about 10,000 people coming into downtown. We just compared it to the end of the farmer's market. And we're able to just kind of see how our community is supporting our downtown. And so I did want to say thank you all to Mayor Kushner and for Marcy to be able to come to our Evening of Excellence on January 23rd. We did award the City of Warrensburg as our Champion Award for all of your guys' effort and helping us make a carnival happen within a month. So I really just wanted to come and say thank you for all of your efforts. We love your partnership at Warrensburg Main Street, and I look forward to another great year.
And thank you, Main Street. So
Thank you.
next, we have a public hearing on an ordinance amending wall sign requirements. Public hearing of an ordinance amending section 27-504 of the Code of City Ordinances of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri regarding requirements for wall signs, presented by Barbara Carroll.
Thank you, council. This is a amendment that staff has brought forward at the request, almost request from one of the sign companies that's working with one of our downtown business owners. And the request was to install a window sign, which is part of the definition of a wall sign in Warrensburg, to install a window sign on each window that would cover 100% of the window for that business. So they have multiple windows, it would cover all the windows 100%. And our current regulations do not allow that. Our current regulations allow wall signs, which again includes window signs, to all together. So you might have multiple wall signs on your property. When you add all that surface area together, can be 30% of the wall or 30% of the window if it's in a window. So this this sign permit request did not meet that standard, and staff denied that permit, and they then asked that the city consider amending the ordinance to allow wall signs, whether they're on the wall or the window, altogether equal 30% or less of the size of the wall. And so that's the ordinance that has been drafted and presented to you this evening. We have included a clean copy of that ordinance. As you look at the ordinance itself, which is in your packet, section 1 changes that standard in 4C for signs in central business district. And then in section 2, it changes that standard in 7C for signs in other commercial industrial districts. All other portions of those sections remain the same. The planning and zoning considered this request at their meeting last week and had multiple many questions. We've tried to outline that in the staff report, what their concerns were. So additional and based upon that discussion, staff has provided some additional information in your packet this evening that was not in their packet last time it was discussed at their meeting, but the illustrations weren't available then. So we since then have developed the illustrations that are in your staff report on page 2, which show what the existing ordinance wall signs can allow. As a standard, these are the illustrations with the blue signs to say the word sign on them. There are endless possibilities of and permutations of how you could design things that would meet our current standard. This is just one example that we've provided. In the proposed language, then we've shown what those what those signs could look like if the ordinance was changed. Again, you could have many, many other versions of something that would be allowed if the ordinance was changed, but this is one example, so that you can kind of compare the two before the existing ordinance and after the proposed ordinance. Be happy, so staff has recommended approval. Ultimately, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval at their meeting. There were 7 votes in favor and 1 vote against the ordinance when they recommended approval. And their written findings are in the staff report as well.
Question?
No question.
Question? Thanks, Doug.
And there's no one signed up
Okay,
to speak.
No questions.
no questions?
No.
No.
Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Oh, this is just the public hearing.
Yeah, it's just the public hearing portion.
Oh.
And we have no public comments. No one signed in for the public hearing or public comment.
Let's go ahead and close the public hearing before you open up discussion for the item.
Move to close the public hearing. Do we have to move to close the public hearing?
No,
The
just
presiding officer would just close it.
Yeah,
chairperson.
all right, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda.
Agenda item 8, first and second reading of an ordinance. 8.1, an ordinance amending wall sign requirements. An ordinance amending section 27-504 of the Code of City Ordinances of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri regarding requirements for wall signs. Presented by Barbara Carroll.
This is the same item we just had the public hearing on. Be happy to answer any questions.
No questions from me.
Questions? Now do you need a motion? Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
An ordinance amending section 27-504 of the Code of City Ordinances of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri regarding requirements for wall signs. This is for adoption or rejection. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 8.2. An ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to enter into a mutual aid agreement between the city of Warrensburg and the Johnson County Fire Investigation Unit. An ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to enter into a mutual aid agreement between the city of Warrensburg and the Johnson County Fire Investigation Unit, presented by Chief Jennings.
Good evening, council. This ordinance to authorize the re-entering the agreement with the Johnson County Fire Investigation Unit is the unit was established in 2013. At that time, the original MOU consisted of a lot of different agencies with a lot of different leaders at that time. So it was brought forward to the unit this year by some of those participating members to revisit that MOU and get it updated. The contents of the MOU stay exactly the same. The participating agencies have been narrowed down from the original groups that were there. The unit itself, the idea behind the unit when it was established was to combine different disciplines throughout the county for primarily fire service and law enforcement to conduct fire investigations as needed. And kind of join those resources to find the origin cause. And then if there was any criminal action, then to work through the prosecution component of that. So it's been a very beneficial unit. A lot of growth and over the years, and happy to see it continue to grow. So this ordinance would get us back as a participating member of that unit. Any questions?
Very good.
No questions.
No. Good use of resources to share.
It's very efficient. Thank you.
Thank you.
Need a motion to second reading?
Motion to approve the ordinance
To second reading?
to second reading.
Thank you. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to enter into a mutual aid agreement between the city of Warrensburg and the Johnson County Fire Investigation Unit. This is for adoption or rejection. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Ready?
Mhm. Thank you.
Item 8.3, an ordinance accepting permanent right-of-way easement from the Brady Commerce Park LLC as a grantor to the city of Warrensburg, Missouri for Veterans Road Extension located in Johnson County, Missouri, presented by Enrico Villegas, Assistant City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So before you is just an item for first and second reading with respect to the development that will happen at the Brady Commerce Park. Having the rights of way under the umbrella of the city is an important step in developing the project. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
No questions.
No questions?
This is extending the, this enabled the extension of, is it Veterans Road
Correct,
all the way through Brady Park?
correct.
Excellent. No other questions? Motion to move to second reading by title only?
Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
An ordinance accepting permanent right-of-way easement from the Brady Commerce Park LLC as grantor to the city of Warrensburg, Missouri for Veterans Road Extension located in Johnson County, Missouri. This is for adoption or rejection. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 8.4, an ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to enter into a lease agreement with Warrensburg Animal Rescue for the animal shelter, presented by Daniel Doolan, city manager.
Thank you, Chairman Pro Tem, and City Council this evening. This is our annual lease agreement with the Warrensburg Animal Shelter. We have been in this lease agreement since 2021. In addition to the 1/8 cent sales tax that Warrensburg residents contribute for the operation of the animal shelter, the city of Warrensburg also contributes the lease and the use of our facility without charge. It's $1 per year. So staff recommends moving forward with that arrangement again this year. They have submitted their budget to the county commissioners, and county commissioners have approved it. And I have no other, this is our strategic plan, community pride and interaction, and continuing to support our partners with Warrensburg Animal Rescue as well as the county with this.
Didn't they change their name to Old Drum? Did they officially?
So the name of the animal shelter is the Old Drum Shelter, but the organization that runs Old Drum Shelter is Warrensburg Animal Rescue.
Thank you.
Yes.
Motion to move to second reading by title only?
Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to enter into a lease agreement with Warrensburg Animal Rescue for the animal shelter. This is for adoption or rejection. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item 8.5, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of grit washers for the water pollution control facilities, presented by Phil Adlitz, Assistant Public Works Director.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. This ordinance is for us to be approved to purchase this equipment. It's replacing equipment that's at the end of its service, it's rusting out in the bottom. And it's already been approved through the budget. It's just the amount, we need to get approval through the council. So our recommendation is that you approve it. And that we get it.
Just as a reminder, our financial policy, even if something is budgeted for, if it's over $100,000, we must bring it back to city council for approval. So that's why this is before you this evening.
Okay.
Good policy.
Can you explain briefly what a grit washer is? Because I'm not real familiar with this.
As you all been to the plants, you know where it's at.
Sorry.
The influent coming in is full of debris, rags, grit. And this piece of equipment helps us get a lot of that grit out of the water and sent to the landfill.
Okay.
So grit is, your harder sand, rock, stuff like that. The grit will damage pumps. It will gather in the basins, and then we have to mechanically remove it out of the basins, which costs more money. So this washer helps us gather all that, put it in the dumpster and send it to the landfill.
So this catches flushable wipes that aren't flushable?
No, that's the steam, that's the step screen, that is
Okay.
for the grit washer,
Before, all right.
but this is a piece of equipment that is.
So the grid is the gravel and the dirt and all that kind of stuff that's coming off the
Harder
Okay.
coffee grinds, eggshells.
coffee grinds?
Yeah,
They
don't dump
don't-
your egg, or don't dump coffee grinds in the sink.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, it tears up equipment. It acts as a sandpaper. Very abrasive.
Same with eggshells.
Eggshells too.
Thank
They become abrasive.
Okay.
Very small part.
Right.
Just out of curiosity, what's the shelf life or the life of service?
The life service for this piece of equipment, because it sits in the headworks, which is very corrosive area, this gets about 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
And ours is at 15 years. And
Maybe we should let people know that they shouldn't be putting coffee grounds
There are-
and eggshells, as well as some other things that, and actually what it costs to get it out of there and haul it off.
well, so
Don't you have to haul it off?
we do have to haul it off every week. I'd have to look at the numbers.
But-
It's around $325 a month for each plant, just for send it to the landfill.
Okay.
The piece of equipment does take electricity.
Mhm.
Have to break that out. I'm not sure what it would run. As you all probably know, the electric bill at the plants is very high. It's over $10,000 a month.
But that's one thing that the public could do prior to letting them know about the flushable wipes that aren't flushable
Yes.
and how much that costs.
Flushable wipes are a bad problem, and that tears up pumps, which are very expensive. So, yes.
I
Good
think
information.
the city published something about a year ago, didn't we, on that? So,
Yeah, we
Maybe
could probably
time
publish
to-
something again.
yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Or publishing.
Any other questions for Phil?
I would also add that flushable wipes clog our sewer mains as well. So even if they don't make it to our plant, they get stuck somewhere along the way.
And then our collective system or crew have to go out and jet it.
You.
Maybe I can mention something here. So I came to the public hearing today, this morning about the sewer department, and I asked the question about why are they allowed to call them flushable wipes when they aren't really, yeah, they're flushable, but it sounds like they're organic or biodegradable when they aren't. And if there's something, whether it's a city or county or state or federal government, because the FTC has rules about greenwashing. And it seems like a greenwashing item to say that. I'm just, not anything to answer tonight, but just a comment to say that it shouldn't be called flushable wipes when we don't want them
Totally
flushed.
agree. Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's the manufacturer that was able to sneak that in and label it that,
Yeah.
Right.
advertise it as that.
Okay.
So
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you. Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
yes,
An ordinance authorizing the purchase of grit washers for the water pollution control facilities. This is for adoption or rejection. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
yes,
Thank you.
Other business, 9.1, a resolution authorizing the filing of an application with Missouri Department of Natural Resources, Clean Water State Revolving Fund Program for financial assistance under the Missouri Clean Water Law, Chapter 644, Revised Statute of Missouri. Presented by, there it is, Jason McCarty. How are you?
Good evening, council members. As you all are aware, we've been working with HDR in getting our SRF loan application, which the voters approved the bond measure back in August. So March 1st is the deadline for that SRF loan application. We are this close, and DNR requires that the governing body authorize the city to go out and procure that loan, secure that loan, however you want to say it. So tonight, we're here asking you to pass this resolution so we can continue moving forward on our SBR project out at the plants. Any questions for me?
No questions.
No.
Move to approve the resolution.
Motion to approve resolution.
The Mayor Kushner did.
Mhm.
For the vote, Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
and Kushner.
Yes. That
Thank
threw you
you.
off, didn't it, Jody?
Yeah.
I heard you.
I'm the one that didn't hear.
Good.
Mhm.
All right. Other business, item 9.2, a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the University of Central Missouri and the city of Warrensburg, presented by Chief Jennings.
Good evening. Excited to present this evening. This resolution's memorandum with the University of Central Missouri to provide some resources to combat opioid overdoses. If you remember last year, we entered a similar agreement with the school district that provided them with Narcan to distribute throughout the school district as they saw fit. With the opioid funding that the city received is very defined on what it can be used for. This is one avenue that we can use it for. So we've been working with the university for several months to kind of figure out the language in this agreement to make it work and how they would deploy it on campus. And we finally got to that point. So looking forward to that potential partnership and be able to get those resources on campus if there were ever a need to use them. Happy to answer any questions.
But how many units are you units of Narcan, do you plan to have at the university?
After we get this agreement, we'll sit down and kind of figure out.
Because it would
how
be a
many
lot.
total.
Because there's so many buildings.
Yeah, our initial discussions were looking at in the residence halls. They thought that would be a good place.
I didn't even think of
at
that.
The front desk, and then some prominent locations throughout the campus. For during the school day, but residence halls were a big one. Kind of figuring out where they wanted to put that and how they wanted to manage those resources. So once we get it in place, I'd be happy to come back and kind of let you know what we got.
Thank you. Motion to approve resolution.
Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 10.1, mayoral appointments. Reappoint Andy Cole as a member for the Planning and Zoning Commission for a 4-year term through April 2027. Reappoint Don Nimmer as a member for the Planning and Zoning Commission for a 4-year term through April 2027. Appoint John Allen Cocomelli as a member of the Warrensburg Convention and Visitors Bureau, filling an unexpired term through June 2025 of Scott Thomason. Reappoint Kelly Brooks as a member for the Warrensburg Convention and Visitors Bureau for a 3-year term through June of 2026.
Motion.
approve.
Need a motion.
What did you say?
Said move to approve.
Thank you.
Thank you. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 11, appearances, the city council not listed on the agenda. No appearance, no one has signed in for that. Item 12, miscellaneous matters from the mayor and or city council.
Nothing from me.
Nothing from me.
Okay. City staff updates, 13.1, update on traffic signal improvements presented by Enrico Villegas and Scott Laxton from Traffic Control Corporation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. There's been a particular interest in our traffic signals, especially within the joint meeting that we had where it came up with pedestrian buttons among other things. So I wanted to hand this out. This was an analysis that staff had completed of a particular intersection. This is at Gay and McGuire.
Thank you.
The arrows just indicate the path that we took one way and then worked back the other way, along with a breakdown of what was working, what isn't working. So that will be covered as part of the fix with the McGuire Street project of trying to get all those pieces to work appropriately, along with as we make progressions with our synchronization of our signals. So with that, I will turn it over to Scott to be able to dive into this presentation.
Good evening. One second. So currently, I guess for the past 5 years, your signals have been connected to a central management system that is stored in the city hall building. With that central management system, you have the ability to access all of your signals and to monitor the progress or the operation of those signals. And we have been providing so this particular slide is just an example of those signals that are online, showing you in addition to the ramps, all of your other signals. So the central management system, it gives us the access to get into the front panel of the controller that runs the signal in order to help your help the city staff troubleshoot any issues that come up. We have the ability to monitor the communication of them. They're all being communicating via point-to-point radios right now to each and every signal. Yes.
Are you talking about both pedestrian and traffic signals or just one or the other?
So right now, it's just the traffic signals, but the pedestrian signals are run by the controller.
By the traffic signals?
Well, the controller, the silver metal box that sits on the corner.
Yes.
So that controller that sits inside that box also runs the pedestrians, in addition to the ped buttons that are out there on the signal poles or the crosswalks. So it's everything.
Thank you.
So we have, we're monitoring the communication and monitoring the performance of the signal as frequently as we need to. There have been times that when Bill was here, he would call me up and ask me to monitor a movement, and we would go in and pull the reports and make sure, see what he was seeing as far as the citizen complaint was. So, and adjust times if we needed to, but we can do all of that remotely through the access to the system. So currently the system is set up to give us alerts, all the city staff that are on the list when a signal goes in the flash, down to when somebody gets into the cabinet. So there's a door open alarm. Just the other day, somebody got into the cabinet up at the intersection or up at the highway. And apparently there was somebody had hit a signal head or something, an oversized load that had come through the city and hit a signal head or something. And okay, making sure. Anyway, we got an alert at 7:30 or 8 p.m. And since it's a MoDOT signal, we contacted them and said, hey, you guys know about this, and confirmed it with them. But everybody that within the traffic department got that alert as well. So just another capability of the central system. The reports, the system has the ability to pull several reports, and we use those reports for the monthly report that we put together and submit to the city. I'll just briefly go through these. This is for example, this is the front panel of the controller that allows us to get into the actual operation on the street. As if we were out there at the cabinet. It just provides us some convenience to help with troubleshooting efforts when we need to. The database, so the central system also stores the database for as long as it's been online. So for the past 5 years, we have the database that's been stored in that controller. We have record of any changes that are made by whoever made them. Practical applications. So this is kind of just a summary of what I've been talking about as far as the central system. It's receive email, text alerts, make timing changes, develop special event plans. So actually, Bill had us do an event plan for when graduation ceremonies would occur. As they exit, the demand at South Street to go onto McGuire gets rather heavy. Well, once that demand is heavy enough, it'll open up McGuire up to the ramps and flush people northbound out of this or onto 50 highway to then disperse and go east and west. But that system is part of the central system is part of what controls that. The vehicle pedestrian clearances, I guess so I don't have to read everything, but we have access to all of these features through the central system. And I know that you guys do have some questions, if I'm not mistaken.
Is this where where we would add in the ability for the police and the fire trucks going down the road to change the signal?
Okay.
Because it's my understanding we don't have that now.
Correct.
Okay.
So we have been in talks with the fire chief. We're actually meeting with them in a couple of weeks about the possibility of a preemption system. And we are just kind of initiating those conversations right now, but exactly, if a fire truck is heading southbound, then all of your lights heading southbound will then get the green and it will stop all of the other movements so the fire truck can get through. And that's what we're going to be talking to them about.
Then also on the pedestrian crossings, the more often that a button is touched, then that should be telling you that there's more usage. And then does that take that into account to allow for more than whatever the number of seconds it is for people to get across? Sometimes there's not enough seconds. You know, you step off especially down there on 13 and Hale Lake Road, you start to go and all of a sudden it's telling you to stop and you're not even halfway across the street.
Okay, so the pedestrian clearance time is what you would be referring to.
Yes.
It doesn't increase automatically, but that is something that is studied. And there are calculations for it, measuring the distance of the crosswalk and the distance from the push button to the crosswalk. So if you do feel that there is a movement or a pedestrian movement that's short, that's something that we could look into, at least compile the information and see what it is and say, okay, yeah, this is maybe not long enough, or it seems to be right based on these calculations. But yeah, you said it was McGuire or
McGuire and Hale Lake Road, DD Highway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody knows DD,
Okay.
but that's Hale Lake Road.
So, yeah, so that's a little bit bigger intersection
It
down
is.
there. And if I could see where if it had a short amount of time, then, yeah, I mean, that's something we can take a look at. And that's all part of the program, the arrangement we have with the city is to investigate things like that.
Enrico, would that be something that we could do with your, look, wait a minute, help me. Fix. Say it again?
See,
Yes,
absolutely, yeah.
yeah,
I-
so
I-
we could take a picture of that, send it to you when we're halfway across and they're ready to run over us. Got it. Thank you.
I've got one thing, Scott.
Yeah.
That signal along with the DD Rigby one is also a MoDOT signal.
Yeah, so in that case, we would pull the information that we have access to, and we would talk to MoDOT if we had to make changes, but I mean, it would be something that we have a pretty good relationship with them. It hasn't been an issue. We're gonna talk to them about increasing the cycle length up at the ramps, Russell and Young, in order to coordinate those three intersections a little more during the AM and the PM. So,
Yeah.
but they've been very receptive as of late with any changes that we want to do out here, but I have proposed to them, so.
Thank you.
And I do want to add as part of this discussion that a lot of the capabilities of this system, Scott and his staff will train us on so we can do that ourselves. So in the event of, say, a funeral procession and they're utilizing McGuire, we can set things to flash or we can set things to green and then just allow the train of vehicles to bleed on through. Likewise, say from an emergency management perspective, if there's a heavy crash or something that happened along 50 and they're funneling through McGuire, then we can be able to manipulate the signals in order to account for that increase in traffic. So that's something that we'll be able to do internally. So that is one of the purposes behind this presentation, is to be able to cover that piece as well, that we just didn't know how to do any of those things. And so now with Scott, going to take the step and showing us, here's how to do that within the cabinet, or here's how to do that within the software, that will really be able to step up our game in terms of how we regulate our intersections. So I wanted to throw that out there as well.
Can I ask a question about this?
Yes.
They can't see it, but you basically have walked clockwise across every street at Grover and McGuire, or Gay and McGuire, right?
Yep.
And then he went counterclockwise. And I look at it, 5 out of 8 had a problem, if I'm reading that correct. Who maintains? And I'll just, for everybody's edification. So the first one was working, second one, no voice, third one, no voice, next one, button stuck, not working. Next one, not working, button stuck, and then the next working, and then no voice or sound.
This is it.
This city, okay.
Yeah,
Do we check these periodically or what's?
So, and that part of that report
Yeah.
that we send out on a monthly basis, we do monitor for those things.
Okay,
And I believe there was one movement on here, at Gay, I
can't even see it right here. If you look down.
so Gay and,
Gay Street, Mitchell.
Gay and McGuire on the very bottom, ped 8, and I noticed that this morning when I was out there looking at it. But yes, to answer your question, we monitor for that, and we just presented, this is January's
Okay.
report. So this was a new issue, these are new issues, so, but that is something that through the system that we can identify and then share that, we share that with the city. And we work with them to troubleshoot it and find out which component is malfunctioning.
Excellent. So this is a function that the city will take over more of the responsibility of managing. Is that where we're heading?
Well,
Is that the reason for?
really, it's more of so we don't always have to call Scott in the middle of the night. And so we do have signals that say have been struck by vehicles, or if there's just something not functioning correctly, say if there's a malfunction between the communication devices, that we can go in and troubleshoot that versus calling Scott, hey, we need your help, and it's like 2 a.m. And so for staff to be able to do that on an on-call basis, will just be able to, for us to be able to troubleshoot the problem quickly. So that's just part of he's just supplementing our understanding. But truthfully, how technical this stuff can get, we'll probably never be able to get to his level of expertise, and that's fine. But this is more for those like in the middle of the night scenarios, or in the event of, again, a funeral procession or something like that.
Okay.
Other things that we are looking into, In terms of the traffic signal synchronization, being able to call this doing a green band where from certain sections on McGuire that, it should be synced such that when you start at one point, you get green all the way down. It won't be throughout the entire corridor because the volume eventually blades off into side streets, so it wouldn't make sense to have the whole thing green. But those are the things that we are evaluating, with the help of Scott and his staff, so.
And then we have a contract with his company,
Correct.
and then, okay, I see it. Thank you.
That's it. All right.
Perfect.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you, Henry.
We pulled that one.
Item 13.3. Oh, Enrico, you got something?
Staff. updates.
Oh, right. 13.2. Oh,
No, we
that
do.
one we've.
I reordered a little bit on the agenda, so I
Okay.
apologize for that. Rather than having the city manager update, we're calling them city staff updates, and so if Enrico wants to
Okay.
jump in, we'll allow it. Or Courtney, if that's okay with the governing body.
So just a few other miscellaneous updates from Public Works. One asset that's not frequently talked about, but it is a very important asset in the community is our cemetery. So for our report from January, we've had 5 burials and then 2 layouts. And then our Sims database, which is a very important function
What is the layout?
where you pick your grave site that you want to get buried.
Thank you.
Another important function within the cemetery is our Sims database, and so that's where you can do things like an ancestry lookup or figure out who's buried where if you're not if you're just trying to find a specific person. And we've been making a significant investment in trying to get that data cleaned up and a lot of our paper files into the Sims database, also with the help of Jody and facilitating that, so I appreciate Jody's efforts. And that was also largely Glenn Conan as well, who has retired from the city. He is greatly missed, but we have a new employee, Nick. I have a hard time pronouncing his last name. But he has really stepped in and in filling Glenn's shoes right away. And so his efforts are noticed.
Is he at the cemetery office then, Nick?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. Nick Shocha, I think.
Is that where you go if you wanna to purchase a lot? You go to that office and purchase,
Yes.
so they can take care of all the deed and everything.
Yes, some of the work is coordinated with like the funeral home as well. So there's like the county administrator that you would have to talk to. So, but under all other circumstances, going to the cemetery, you'll be able to get the vast majority of that taken care of.
County administrator,
Just the funeral director.
why?
I would have to look into that. I don't know all the specifics on it. So Glenn was trying to teach me that as well. So still trying to get all those little parts figured out, so.
Okay.
Next update. We are starting the early process of the APWA accreditation or the American Public Works accreditation for our department. And so going through this process will really enable staff to be able to understand the strengths and weaknesses of our department and any other blind spots that we may not be aware of. And so it's about a year or 2 long process to get accredited. And that starts with engaging with APWA, purchasing materials. And then through the process of what policies do we have on the books to what policies are recommended, we'll be able to really evaluate kind of where we stand amongst peer departments. So it's an exciting process for us. And so I just wanted to share that. In terms of parklets, I didn't want to forget that, but I do plan on presenting a policy to Danielle and Doug for their consideration. So I just want to share that that hasn't, unfortunately, it kind of fell off the radar a little bit, but it'll get put back on. So
I forgot too.
Will, will they be a bit, is this something that's kind of like you buy off the shelf? And so once it's approved, the downtown businesses that want a parklet can go ahead and just order it and pay for it and it gets delivered?
No, I think, explain the conversation we've had before, I guess. How we got to this point, what parklets might be and how we might use them roughly.
So generally speaking, how the parklet works, it could take many forms. So it could take the form of the establishment leases a parklet from the city, or it could take the form of the city just permits that, and then that it's owned by the establishment. There are pros and cons to doing either or. So it very well could happen that way. There are some of the benefits or the pros to having it owned by the establishment is they would have the ability to trespass if there was someone that they didn't want there. Whereas if we're under the control of the city, then you have less of that ability. So it very well could happen that way, but that's still something that would, I would like to run through Danielle and Doug before we really get into that specific.
Do you envision those, the parklets being there year round or more
Seasonal.
during seasonal? So where do they go in the off season? That's up to the business to figure out where to put their parklet?
If it's owned by the business establishment, then they just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
But as part of that process too, that in talking with Main Street, that we're evaluating in terms of fairness, like who can have a parklet and who can't.
Right.
And so it's typically would be on a first come, first served. But those are other details that still need to be hashed out within the process. But yeah.
You could do a drawing if there were more people wanting parklets than there were, some sort of lottery. If there were more people wanting a parklet than what spaces were available for parklets, you could do a lottery.
We'll be interested to see what you come up with.
Yeah.
And we can get into the discussions of it at that point, but thank you. Thanks for
Thank you.
looking into it.
Thank you.
That was this one.
Mhm.
Do we need to jump back up here?
Yes.
Okay. That was 13.4, and we're gonna go back to 13.2.
Yeah, no, you're good.
You're exactly. 13.3, I'm sorry. Finance Director Report presented by Courtney Christensen, Interim Finance and HR Director.
Well, I must say, this has been an interesting weekend. We wanted to get the budget, which was overdue, online. And so the entire finance department pulled together. I read all of the narratives. So actually, some of my comments are kind of questions also to myself. And I learned a lot this weekend, like about the fact that the lodging tax was doubled through a vote of the people, which could explain why it's up 10%.
Well, yeah, it was approved in 2019, so.
Oh,
it's been a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right though.
That's interesting. And then one of the things that I've mentioned in the revenues is the telephone is double the 3-year average. But on Thursday, so this was due on Wednesday, on Thursday, I was going through the receipts and found that one of the telephone companies, and please don't ask me which one, because it was not one I had ever heard of, but had not paid for over 2 years, and they paid a big lump sum. So that's the reason why it's up. It's not going to continue like that, but it was like a back payment of some sort. So, so a lot of things have been going on as far as all of that. And I really, I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything, but technically, if you look at it, we're 33.3% of the way through the fiscal year. And we've brought in 33.7% of the revenues that were estimated. And then we are, the same amount for expenditures, and we're at 32.7% for expenditures. So we are right on target for the point in the year that we are. in revenues and expenditures. And so I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything that I might be able to answer.
I had one, but now I can't find it. It said something about. I can't find it. It was something to the effect that it wasn't posted when it was paid.
Oh, yeah, so there's a little thing with this system, the Encode system, so to be timely in our payment of our bills, the whole accounting system is that there's a payable, and so a department or would put in a purchase order, and then the payables clerk would pay that bill. Well, there's always checks and balances, and then there's a journal entry that has to be written and then entered into the system to record. So the bank is showing the payment, but the Encode, the financial system, until the journal entries in there, may not be recording it. And so, for example, in legal services, we want to pay Doug every month in a timely manner. And so we pay him. It's just like last month I said that we were behind in paying the WCBB, but we weren't. She pointed out she's been getting her money, but the journal entries hadn't been done. And so with the loss of the finance director and the close of the year and being a bit behind, we have found some journal entries that weren't ever entered. So we're working on it and we are entering those. And so those should be all caught up hopefully soon.
So it's not an automatic thing. So when you
No.
put in an invoice and it's been coded
Mhm.
as a specific, from your chart of accounts,
Mhm.
and you enter that with
Mhm.
those that coding,
Mhm.
it doesn't automatically stick it where it belongs.
Right. And it's not every little thing, but it seems to be anything that's a contract. So the contract with the WCVB, the contract with the law firm. So it seems to be the larger contracts from what I'm finding.
Okay.
I have not had that experience before. It was, if it was approved and it had a contract, it just automatically did that. The
Right.
system did it, but here you actually have to write a journal entry and don't ask me, I mean, I'm just coming into this, but it's like the finance director writes the journal entry and then the senior accountant actually enters it into the system. But if the finance director wrote it or didn't write it, and the senior accountant didn't get it, it hasn't been recorded. So we're doing a lot of catch up, and the auditors are going to be writing a lot of journal entries for us because it would be faster, because they're looking at where we should be by the end of the last fiscal year, and then we can start off from there.
Is it possible that when you have, because you plan to have training, a lot of training, is it possible when you have the training that some of this will be corrected?
I hope so.
Wouldn't that be good?
Yes. Our first training is going to be, we think, in March, but it's actually going to be on the human resources side. I was just reading what it was. It seems the city has the Encode human resource system, or a part of it, but we haven't been utilizing it. So we're going to find out what that does for us. And then we are working with them to then set up the training then also for the finance staff to see if we can't be more efficient in how this goes, because that's a lot of steps.
A lot of steps, and you shouldn't have that many steps.
Yeah. So we're working on that, but yes, so people are being paid, which is the important thing. But we're behind on actually recording it in the system, which makes these reports hard for me to produce for you all. So
But Courtney, you work with other municipalities in the past. Do they have a more automated system than
Yes.
we have? Is this something that we might get a recommendation in the future to upgrade?
that's a very good question. You know, everybody who has one of these companies. So Tyler is the company that has the Encode system, which is what the city's using. Tyler constantly is buying other companies. So it's getting harder and harder to not have a Tyler product, which is why we're going to be meeting with them and trying to figure out all these different products, because many of our products were bought separately, but are now under that same umbrella. They don't all talk to each other. And so we have a lot of, like, the park department receipts don't automatically come over. So we have a lot of work that has to happen every month to bring the receipts then into our system. Part of what happened, yeah, community development and the building permit process does not lay into, but they're Tyler products. So, yes, so that's one of the things that I'm hoping to find time in addition to the is to actually meet with them and talk to them about this. But there are other products that are more seamless. The question is, how long will it be before they just buy those two? And then they stop supporting them. So we're running into the same thing with just even our credit card machines. So we bought credit card machines a year and a half ago, and now they've bought the company and they're no longer going to support it. So they want us to buy new machines.
So what's our contract with Tyler? There must be other, obviously, software companies.
We use Tyler for many things that we provide in the city of Warrensburg, including our intergov system, which is how we do all of our building permitting and plan reviews and community development. I really think getting some additional training, having some very robust discussions with Tyler Technologies, starting to attend their conference that they host every year, we will really be able to use this technology that we have to its fullest extent. But in addition, I'm going to borrow a term that Enrico said today, in addition to investing in the software in the program, we also need to invest in our human capital and the training of our employees so that we can use the software that we have invested in to the fullest extent. But we use Tyler Technologies a lot.
Yeah, it is pervasive, and the majority of communities in this area are all using it. It's very popular. Again, that we put in money in the encumbrance to do training of even the finance staff has never been actually officially trained.
I can't.
So there's a
believe that
lot of
happened.
self-learning and trying to figure it out and how it works. And I just think if we could take some time, step back, go to training, really learn how these products work, that we could become much more efficient with them. So it's not necessarily, a problem with that, but there is this constant trying to figure out how each of the pieces works together.
Right.
And we do need to put some pressure on them to make sure that they are working on those interfaces.
Yes.
When they buy those companies, make sure that they do interface with each other really well. So we're working on it, but there are a lot of steps right now.
So there may be a solution within Tyler to get community development, Parks and Rec into a kind of a seamless, as you said, seamless. Okay.
Yeah. And they've just gotten a new thing that they're doing. And so they're very interested in talking to the city of Warrensburg about what they can do and how they can make it seamless. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any of the other directors have anything they'd like to share with the council? Yeah, Barb, go ahead.
I included a pretty detailed report in your, in my portion of the city manager staff updates, your written report, and that's on a little bit of history on our geographic information services, or a system, our GIS system, our online mapping system, our system. And we've been in the game, so to speak, for about 10 years now. And we've tried a couple different solutions over those years. And there's a history of that in the report. Most recently, you all invested in 2021 in bringing that back in-house and deploying our GIS on our own virtual servers. And at that time, we had an employee who was running that system and maintaining that system for us. When he left, we advertised that position in 2022, and we were not able to fill that position. And since then, you've heard me speak that we will be outsourcing that to essentially a company who will be our third-party GIS office. That will continue to use the investment you've made in our annual license, our user agreement, and our servers. But we are very close to issuing that RFP. So I wanted to let you know that will happen in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and that will hit the streets. And so I wanted to give you some background in your report about where we come from with this and where we're going with this. as it continues to become more and more a tool, that each department is using. We're using it now to provide service, links for fire department, police department, intergov, and that will just continue with more and more departments as we go forward, and more of our pieces of software. Well, so think of, so I wanted to give you some background on that, and know that RFP will be coming out soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have begun our tour, if you will, for our half-cent capital sales tax renewal. I met with the chamber board today at 4 o'clock and went over this presentation that I'm going to quickly run through with you all as well, just so you all know what information city manager is sharing with the chamber board. I'm meeting with the school board next Tuesday evening. I already have a scheduled on my books with the noon Rotary at the community center. And so if you all have any groups you would like for us to come and present to, please let us know. We welcome the opportunity to get this word out. We will also be putting together some social media post. I'm working on an idea that I have about, maybe driving around with Dave McCannon and talking about our streets, and also as an opportunity. I haven't talked to Dave yet about it, but so
I think he's finding out something right now.
that's why you gotta come to city council. That's an idea that I have, as well as talking to our folks who work in our police department and fire departments, and those are the departments that are gonna be most affected by this renewal. So we have that on our books. We're also partnering with the chamber to do an information session for their membership. We had great success with that with our sewer revenue bond initiative that we did in August. So I'm also working with Diane Thompson about the possibility of doing a mailer. So just one postcard to all households that have a registered voter that just says, remember that election day is April 2nd, and this is the question that would be on the ballot. We did that with the sewer revenue bonds, or Diane did that with the sewer revenue bonds, and so looking to see if that would be something that we might think would be fruitful to encourage voters to get to the polls. So without further ado, Renew Warrensburg. So quick history. This was originally approved in 1994 when we did Fire Station number 2, as well as the community center. It was renewed early to pay for the police department, public works street building, as well as the city hall remodel and the Hamilton Street extension to Maple Grove Elementary. As a reminder, this is a renewal. So this is a sales tax that has been on our books since 1994. And this renewal will allow us to continue making those really important capital improvements in our community. Taking a little bit different approach to what we have done in the past. Rather than building a new street or building a new building, we are going to be using these capital improvement funds to support infrastructure that we already have, primarily our streets. Other things to note. The half-cent capital sales tax can only be used to fund capital projects and equipment purchases in Warrensburg. So these are things that the city plans to hold on to for a long time. So buildings, we're never going to sell our streets. We're always going to own our streets. So when we invest in those are a capital project. A lot of the equipment purchases that are being talked about have a useful life of 10 or more years. A yes vote means your overall sales tax rate would stay the same at 9.475%. And the half-cent capital sales tax would continue through December 31st of 2045. One of the important numbers that we like to share and remind everyone, for every dollar of sales tax that we collect in Warrensburg, 2/3 of that, so 67 cents, comes from folks who live outside of our community. So since 2014, Warrensburg residents have only paid 5.8 million of the 17.8 million that has been generated with this dedicated half-cent sales tax. So what projects will we fund it? An important reminder, the actual list of projects will be determined during the annual budget process and approved by city council. But this is what staff has brainstormed and put together in a plan that we will be, putting before council to consider, as we put together our 5-year improvement, our 5-year capital improvement plan as well. So looking at eligible maintenance items, our annual mill and overlay program, we are looking at putting $10.7 million into that over the next 10 years. Our sidewalk improvement program, 1.6, stormwater lining 500, HVAC systems about 650,000. Eligible equipment, fire trucks, police patrol vehicles, a SWAT vehicle for our SWAT team, and snowplows. Eligible projects, of course, the Mesquire Street Phase 2, West Market Street from Houpt to Warren Street, and fire training facility. So I want to dive into the eligible maintenance and talk a little bit about our streets and the condition of our streets. So back in 2021, we did a pavement condition index study. We drove every mile, which is nearly 120 miles of roads in the city of Warrensburg, and we rated each section of road. If you'll look at the picture on the left, that's 84, that's a good street. That is Mitchell Street. If you look at the one in the middle, that's South Street. You started to see some of those very deep cracks that we don't like to see because that is where we see that freeze thaw. This picture was taken in 2021, so I bet we probably have a pothole there by now if it hasn't already been fixed. And then, of course, you'll see Marshall Street, which is rated a 25, and it is in poor condition. One of the things, our average PCI rating for the city of Warrensburg is 62. So that would be a D if we were talking about grades in. So one of the things that Enrico has really been working on is figuring out how we can raise our average PCI and what we need to do to keep streets that are good keep streets that are good, move streets that are fair into that good category. And then, of course, keeping any of those streets that are in the fair category from going to the poor category. Because once a street is in the poor category, that's a full reconstruction. There is no maintenance that will that is worth investing in that street to bring it up to fair or good.
What does PCI mean?
Pavement Condition Index.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is why we would be looking at a possible, right now we only have about $400,000 that we have in our mill and overlay program. And it costs $280,000 to mill and overlay 1 mile of street. We have nearly 34 miles of street that need to be milled and overlaid. That is why making sure that we get the sales tax renewed is very important. Looking at our eligible equipment, so on the left, we have our firefighters. You can see they are working in there, working on mechanical issues with our fire trucks. We purchased 2 new fire trucks in 2018. We bonded that with a 59-cent property tax increase in 2017. Fire trucks are in service for 10 years. Then they move to the reserve fleet for another 10 years. So the lifetime of a truck is about 20 years. However, we are at 2018, so we are looking at coming up on 2028 would be when we need to replace those 2 fire trucks that we have. So this sales tax would allow us to start encumbering funds or saving money so that we'll be able to pay cash for these fire trucks in the future. Looking at our patrol vehicles, put about 273,000 miles on them annually. Our average life of our police vehicle is 6 to 7 years. So that's total for all the vehicles, not just one vehicle. Okay, I'm sorry. The whole fleet drives about 273,000 miles a year. So our average life of our fleet is 6 to 7, and we have been trying to replace 1 to 2 patrol vehicles per year. And we will propose continuing to do that for the next 10 years. We run into, those stop and go miles, the idling time that's on those engines. we come up to a point where we have to decide whether the maintenance and the upkeep is worth it, or if it's better to just invest in a new vehicle. Major Fiddler just told me, today we are looking at dropping a new motor, and that will be the third one that we've replaced so far this year. So then, on the other side, we have snow plows, and as you all know, we have, been looking at starting to use pre-treatment, for our snow and ice removal. And one of our goals is to continue upgrading our snow fleet to be able to, implement that technology, throughout our community. We really focused on arterials this year, and, significant, noticeable difference, I think, this year when we had that big snowstorm that came in, and we were really able to get that, prevent that snow from sticking to the roads and prevent that snowpack. And so just wanting to continue investing in that, upgrading our fleet to be able to use that pre-treatment. Possible eligible projects, McGuire Street, Phase 2. This is a picture Councilmember Euler took today. You can see 4 people who are trying to use the non-existent pedestrian facilities on the bridge over Highway 50. That is still a big priority for staff, to be able to work on McGuire Street Phase 2, replacing the interchange. Yeah.
Yeah, if I can make a comment. So I took this picture because I'd never seen all these different type of people crossing 50 highway. First 2 on electric bikes. There's a lady walking north. There's a person on a bicycle, and there's actually another one on the bicycle at the ramp. So there are 5 people crossing 50 highway at the same time. All different modes of transportation too.
And well, I mean, if you count the vehicle, you have 6. So then we also have West Market Street, out to Warren Street. That's a project that we've been working on. We applied for community development block grant funding. Last year, we did not get it, but that's still a really important project that we think needs to happen in our downtown. And then, of course, you see Warren Street, Young to North Street, which is a $2.2 million project. Warren Street is really becoming an arterial in our community because when folks are going to the UCM ball fields, Google takes them down Warren Street rather than McGuire. Yeah.
The Market Street helped to Warren right there behind the courthouse. Took me a minute to recognize that ugly building, but that's the old Safeway building. And that's a county building that they need to push in and start over. And at one time, there was a special grant that Main Street received to upgrade the back side of the courthouse to make it look nice and put lighting and all that, and the county was never able to pull the trigger on that and even do a portion of it. But the design and everything is available. That needs to be a 2-story building, and the people in the courthouse need to move over there and not be in mold.
So we're hoping to invest in the
Push it,
street
yeah.
and increase the curb and gutter appeal, so we can encourage those other property owners to invest in their properties as well.
That would be nice.
And I know you all are probably looking at these numbers and going, Danielle, you said that the sales tax only generated $2.5 million per year, and that is correct. And we have a lot of projects up here. We have a lot of priorities that we would put before council every year when we discuss our 5-year capital improvement plan. But keep in mind that we continually look for grant opportunities, and making sure that we have these dollars available will help us ensure that we have the dollars available to match when the opportunity does come along to use grants to move forward on some of these projects.
Are a lot of the projects financed?
Any of those?
Any of the projects, when you have taxes coming in, do you finance that and pay it off with the revenues coming in?
That's a strategy. That is a strategy that we could consider when an opportunity comes along.
Is that what we did with the community center?
Yeah, so I should have said that. So yes, these funds are currently about 1.8 million of these funds are currently tied up paying off debt. So we will pay off the police department building and the city hall remodel in 2024. We will still owe until 2029 on the Hamilton Street extension. So, that frees up about $200,000 for us to invest in those maintenance, projects, those equipment purchases. So, yes, those were not bonds that were issued, however, they were actually certificates of participation. And so if we do get the sales tax renewed, issuing certificates of participation could be a potential strategy for us to look at.
Okay. Thank you.
So ballot language, you all approved this ballot language, and this is where I encourage everyone, so if everyone will entertain me and get out your phone, everyone who's left in the audience, get out your phone. Please add on April 2nd that it is election day. And put that on your calendar so you don't forget. I know Missouri does no excuse voting, and so you can even go vote early if you are not able to make it on April 2nd. But we do appreciate everyone being a voter and prioritizing this. This is a QR code that will take you to some frequently asked questions about the sales tax. And then for more information, there's the website as well. Last day to register to vote is March 6th, and election day is April 2nd.
Excellent.
We do have some rack cards that we are working on that we will have available to put at the front at City Hall, and when we do go to our meetings, then we'll distribute those. That way everyone.
What kind of card?
A rack card. It's just a piece of paper that's like this.
Oh.
Just so you can hand it, and it's just, we have some fast facts, some fast facts. So what we call out on that rack card is that we have 34 miles of street that are in need of mill and overlay. 20 years is how long a fire truck is in service, but making sure that we refresh and, turn over that equipment allows for us to ensure that the technologies and the reliability is there, but also, and this applies to our snow plows and our police vehicles as well. As we see the technology improve on all those vehicles, improves a lot of things, including safety of folks, rollover prevention and other safety measures that, we're always getting safer in our equipment. So 273,000 miles, which is how many miles we put on our police fleet a year. And so just some fun facts for folks to have about how this half-cent capital improvement sales tax is important to city operations.
There's a legislative luncheon that the chamber's having. I think it's on the 22nd of March. Will you have the opportunity to speak at that?
I will not speak at the legislative luncheon. That one's really focused on state legislation. What we will do, we will be at the candidate forum, which is, I believe, on the Wednesday
20th.
For that luncheon. Yeah, the 20th. And also the chamber is hosting an information work session for their membership, and we'll do our couple other ideas that we have to help get the word out. The only other thing that I had that I wanted to point out, since Phil mentioned it, our wastewater treatment plant is our highest electric utility user. We did get our year-to-date report from Evergy on our Renewables Direct program, and we ended up getting a credit of $10,000 by participating in the Renewables Direct program. So very good news. I'm very excited to participate in that program. We have reached out to them to see if there are more opportunities to participate in Renewables Direct, and they have put us on a list, and they will let us know when those opportunities come up. So always looking for an opportunity to save taxpayer dollars, and so very excited to share that saved us $10,000 this year on our very expensive electric bill. Thank you. I don't think we have anything else.
What? Oh,
Marcy? No?
okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Excellent.